My name is Sloane, and I am 32 years old. 2 weeks ago, my sister accidentally added me to a family group chat called Real Family Only. 847 messages. 7 years. They called me the charity case. They placed bets on when I would fail. They celebrated when my marriage fell apart. My own mother wrote, and I am quoting her exactly, "At least she does not have kids. One less grandchild to worry about." I screenshotted everything. Every single message. I did not miss a single period. Then I sent just one text. "Thanks for the receipts." What happened next at my grandmother's 70th birthday party? I do not think anyone in my family will ever forget it. Before I continue, if you find this story worth hearing, take a second to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely want to. Drop a comment telling me where you are watching from and what time it is there. Now, let me take you back 6 weeks to the day my grandmother called about her party. 6 weeks ago, my phone rang at 7 in the morning. My grandmother's name lit up the screen. "Sloane, honey, I am having a party for my 70th. I want you there." My chest tightened. Not from dread. From surprise. My grandmother was calling me directly. Usually, family announcements went through the group chat, the one I had assumed I had simply been forgotten in. Of course, Grandma. I would not miss it. After we hung up, I sat on my bed for a long time, thinking about the past 10 years. Every Saturday morning, driving her to cardiology appointments. Every Sunday afternoon, cleaning her house while she napped. Every late night, sitting beside her when loneliness crept in and she just needed someone to talk to. My younger half-sister, Miranda, she showed up for Christmas photos. Posted them on social media with captions like, "Family is everything," and heart emojis. 50,000 followers ate it up. I never said anything. What was there to say? 3 days before the party, I called my mother to ask about the dress code. "Oh, just casual, honey," she said. "Nothing fancy." I believed her. Then I stopped by her house to drop off my grandmother's medication. I had picked it up from the pharmacy on my way from work. My mother was in the kitchen, her phone on the counter. A text notification popped up from Miranda. I did not mean to look, but the preview was right there. "Remember cocktail dress? Photographers coming at 4. My stomach dropped. Casual. She had told me casual. I set the medication on the counter and left without saying goodbye. Maybe she just forgot, I told myself. Maybe she got confused. But something cold settled in my chest. A feeling I had been ignoring for years. The next evening, I did something I rarely did. I called Miranda. We were not close. We shared a mother, but different fathers, different childhoods, different everything. Still, she was my sister. I wanted to try. "Hey, Miranda. Just calling about Grandma's party. Need help with anything?" Silence. Then, "Oh, Grandma invited you too." Too. The word hung there like a slap. "She called me herself," I said carefully. "Huh." Miranda's voice was flat. "I mean, it is a family thing, so, you know." I did not know. That was the problem. "What does that mean?" "Nothing. Forget it. I have to go." She hung up. 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed. A voice message from Miranda. I pressed play, but it was not for me. Oh my God, she is so annoying. Calling me like we are best friends or something. Miranda's voice was muffled, clearly talking to someone else. She acts like she is such a VIP just because Grandma likes her. I do not get what Grandma even sees in her. Laughter in the background. Then the message cut off. My phone buzzed again. A text from Miranda. "Oops. Sent that by accident. Do not mind it. LOL." I stared at the screen. Do not mind it. 7 words. That was all she had. I wanted to believe this was just Miranda having a bad day. Sisters fought sometimes, right? Said things they did not mean. But deep down, a part of me knew. This was not new. This was not a one-time slip. This was just the first time I had actually heard it. And something told me that voice message was only the tip of a very large, very ugly iceberg. That night, I could not sleep. I lay in my apartment, small, quiet, mine, and stared at the ceiling. 32 years old. Divorced. Living alone. Working 60-hour weeks in the intensive care unit because it was easier to care for strangers than to think about my own life. My grandmother was the only person in my family who made me feel like I belonged. She never treated me like the leftover from my mother's mistake marriage. Never made me feel like I was tolerated rather than wanted. When I was 12 and crying because the other kids had fathers at the father-daughter dance, my grandmother showed up in a suit and bow tie and danced with me all night. But my grandmother was 70 now. Her heart was not what it used to be. 3 stunts, 2 scares. One conversation where she held my hand and said, "Promise me you will be okay when I am gone." If I lost her, I would have no one. Not really. I thought about my grandfather's funeral 3 years ago. 200 people packed into the church. I sat in the back row. No one sat with me. No one asked if I was okay. My mother was too busy being comforted by Miranda and my aunt to even look my way. That was when my grandmother found me. She slipped into the pew beside me. Did not say a word. Just held my hand. I remembered something she had said once, almost offhand. I write everything down. You know who does what. Who shows up. At the time, I thought she meant grocery lists. Medication schedules. Now I wondered. If I kept staying silent, kept pretending everything was fine, what would I lose? Not just my grandmother. I would lose myself. The memories came uninvited that night, the way they always did when I was tired and alone. 2 years ago. My husband of 4 years. I found the text on a Tuesday. Her name was Jessica, his coworker. The messages went back 8 months. I called my mother, sobbing so hard I could barely breathe. "Mom, he has been cheating. I do not know what to do." A long pause. Then, "Well, honey, you have been working a lot. Maybe if you had been home more." I hung up. Miranda's contribution came via social media. I had posted something vague about going through a hard time. Nothing specific. Just reaching out. She commented publicly, "Some people just are not meant to keep a man." That comment got 4 likes. My mother. My aunt. 2 cousins. For people in my own family, laughing at the worst moment of my life. I deleted the post. Deleted the entire account. Told myself it did not matter. They did not mean it. Family was complicated. But my grandmother called every single day that first month. Sometimes we talked. Sometimes she just listened to me cry. Sometimes she would say nothing at all, just breathe on the other end of the line so I would know I was not alone. "It is not your fault," she told me once. "Do not let anyone tell you it was." She was the only one. The only one who showed up. The only one who cared. And now, lying in the dark 2 years later, I finally let myself wonder. Was there something more going on? Some reason my family seemed almost happy when I failed? Was there somewhere they talked about me? Somewhere I was not invited? For days before the party. 11 at night. I was reading in bed, finally starting to relax. My phone buzzed. A notification. "Miranda Harper added you to Real Family Only." I blinked. Read it again. Real Family Only. My thumb hovered over the screen. Something cold crawled up my spine. I tapped the notification. The group chat opened. I scrolled up automatically, the way you do when you join a conversation late. And I kept scrolling. And scrolling. The chat was created 7 years ago. 8 members. My mother, Miranda, my aunt, 2 cousins from Ohio, 3 others. Everyone except my grandmother. And everyone except me. For 7 years, they had had a group chat. A place to talk about real family things. And I was not in it. For 7 years. My hands started shaking. In the corner of the screen, a small number glowed. 847. 847 unread messages. I checked the most recent one sent 2 days ago. My aunt complaining about her neighbor's dog. Normal stuff. Nobody had noticed I had been added. Nobody had said anything. I scrolled to the very beginning. To the first message ever sent, 7 years ago, when this chat was created. It was from my aunt. Finally, a place to talk without you-know-who seeing. Miranda replied, "Charity case free zone." My mother wrote, "Girls, do not be mean." But yeah, this is nice. The room tilted. I sat there in the dark, phone glowing in my hands, and felt something crack open inside my chest. They had a name for me. Charity case. And this was only message 1. 846 to go. I could not stop reading. The messages blurred together at first. Inside jokes I did not understand. Plans for holidays I had been told were small gatherings. Photos from events I had never been invited to. Then I found the nickname thread. Miranda, new rule. We call her CC from now on. Aunt, CC. Miranda, charity case. Cousin, dead. Mom, that is terrible. But also kind of accurate. LOL. Kind of accurate. My own mother. I kept scrolling. Years of messages. Years of laughter at my expense. When I lost my first nursing job at 26, budget cuts, not performance, they celebrated. Aunt called it. Knew she could not hack it. Miranda, how long till she asks Mom for money? Mom, she will not. Too proud. That is the problem with her. When I started dating my ex-husband. Miranda, OMGCC has a boyfriend. Taking bets on how long this lasts. And I give it 2 years max. Cousin, optimistic. I say 18 months. They were betting on my relationship like it was a game. But the worst, the absolute worst, was when they found out I was getting married. Miranda, CC is engaged. And to who? Does he know what he is getting into? Mom, I will be honest. I am surprised. Never thought she would find someone. Miranda, starting the divorce pool now. I have $50 on under 5 years. Aunt, I will take 3. Mom, you girls are awful. Put me down for 4. My mother bet on my marriage failing. My mother. I sat in the dark, tears streaming down my face, and read every single word. I found the divorce messages at 2 in the morning. My hands were cramped from scrolling. My eyes burned. But I could not stop. I had to know. I searched for the date. 2 years ago. The week I told my family that my ex-husband had cheated, that my marriage was over. Miranda, guys, guess what? Aunt, what? Miranda, CC is getting divorced. Aunt, no way. Finally. I knew it. Cousin, who won the bet? Aunt, wait, let me check. For years and 3 months. That is closest to my 3-year guess. Miranda, ugh, fine. But I was close with 5. Aunt, pay up, ladies. $50 each. I stopped breathing. They had actually collected money on my divorce. But it got worse. Mom, just got off the phone with her. She was crying. Aunt, and Mom, nothing. She will get over it. At least she does not have kids. One less grandchild to worry about. Miranda, silver lining. Cousin, honestly, though, who would cheat on someone that boring? Miranda, right? Like, I am surprised he waited this long. 47 messages followed. Analyzing my failed marriage. Speculating about what I did wrong. Celebrating that I was alone. Not one person, not one asked if I was okay. Not one person suggested reaching out. They just laughed and bet and collected their winnings. My hands were not shaking anymore. Something had shifted. The tears dried on my cheeks. The hurt was still there, but underneath it, something harder was forming. Something cold and clear. They had never seen me as family. Never. And now I had proof. I stopped reading at 3 in the morning. Not because I had finished. Because I knew what I had to do. I went back to the beginning and started screenshotting every message. Every laugh react. Every betting pool. Methodical. Organized. The way I labeled patient charts at work. I created a folder. Real family only, complete archive. While I worked, I noticed something from 6 months ago. A conversation that made me pause. Miranda, Grandma is getting weird. She has this notebook she writes in constantly. Aunt, what kind of notebook? Miranda, I do not know. Some journal thing. I saw her writing names in it. Mom, she is 69. Probably just keeping track of meds or something. Miranda, I saw CC's name in there. Like, multiple times. Aunt, weird. Miranda, right? She is obsessed with her. It is gross. I read that exchange 3 times. My grandmother had a notebook. She wrote down names. My name specifically. I remembered what she had said at my grandfather's funeral, holding my hand in that back pew. I keep track, honey. I always keep track. At the time, I thought she meant emotionally. Mentally. But what if she meant literally? What if my grandmother knew more than anyone realized? I finished screenshotting at 4:17 in the morning. 847 messages. 7 years of evidence. All saved. No one in the chat had noticed I was there. The last message was still from 2 days ago. Everyone was asleep, dreaming their innocent dreams. I opened a new text window. Typed slowly. Thanks for the receipts. Sloane. My finger hovered over send. The party was in 4 days. My grandmother's 70th birthday. Every single person in that chat would be there. I pressed send. Then I left the group. 4:19 in the morning. My phone exploded. Miranda calling. Declined. Miranda calling again. Declined. My mother calling. Declined. Texts flooding in. Miranda, Sloane, please pick up. Miranda, I was drunk when I added you. I swear it was an accident. Miranda, please, please, please can we talk? Mom, honey, whatever you read, it is not what it looks like. We were just venting. Every family does this. And, Sloane, do not make this a bigger deal than it needs to be. This is private family stuff. Private family stuff. That is what they called 7 years of mockery. More calls. More texts. By 4:45, 67 messages had piled up. Miranda, we love you. You know that, right? Sisters joke around. Mom, please call me back. Let us talk like adults. And, this is why we did not include you. You are too sensitive. Too sensitive. The woman who had bet on my divorce was calling me too sensitive. I turned off my phone for the first time in hours. Silence. Real silence. I walked to my window. The sky was turning gray. Dawn coming. I thought about what I could do. Expose them on social media. Forward the screenshots to every relative not in that chat. Burn it all down. But that was not me. That was not who I wanted to be. My grandmother's party was in 4 days. 70 years old. Her whole family would be there. Friends, neighbors, everyone who mattered to her. I was not going to ruin her birthday. But I was not going to stay silent either. I had a plan. Not revenge. Something better. Truth. And the right moment to tell it. I set my alarm for 7. Lay down. And slept better than I had in years. 3 days before the party, Miranda showed up at my apartment. I opened the door to find her in full makeup, a designer bag clutched to her chest, eyes wet with tears that looked almost real. Sloane, please. Can we talk? I stepped aside. Let her in. Said nothing. She perched on the edge of my couch like she was afraid to touch anything. I am so sorry. You have to believe me. That chat, it got out of hand. We never meant. You bet on my divorce. She flinched. That was Aunt's idea. I went along with it. I was young. You were 22. And you did it again last year. When you bet on whether I would get promoted. You saw that. I saw everything, Miranda. The tears stopped. Something harder flickered in her eyes. Calculation. Okay, fine. But you cannot tell Grandma. She is fragile. This could literally kill her. I almost laughed. Now you care about Grandma's health. I have always cared. You visited her twice last year. I visited every week. I have a business to run. You have an Instagram account. We stared at each other. Sisters by blood. Strangers by choice. I am going to the party, I said quietly. Because Grandma invited me. What happens there? We will see. You cannot do this to the family. I am not doing anything. I walked to the door and opened it. I am just done pretending. Miranda stood slowly. At the threshold, she turned. You know, this is why no one likes you. You always have to be the victim. And you always have to be the villain. Guess that makes us even. She left without another word. 3 more days until the party. The day arrived. Clear sky. Perfect weather. My grandmother's backyard had been transformed into something out of a magazine. White chairs. String lights. A photographer circling like a well-dressed vulture. I wore a cocktail dress. Navy blue. Understated. I had done my own research this time. When I walked through the gate, my mother's face went pale. Miranda grabbed her arm. My aunt spilled wine on her sleeve. They had hoped I would not come. Sloane. My mother recovered first. Her smile was plastic. You made it. Grandma invited me. Of course. Of course she did. For the next 2 hours, I was invisible. When group photos were taken, I was directed to the back row. Better lighting up front, my mother explained. You understand? When appetizers were passed, servers walked right by me. When guests asked who I was, Miranda answered before I could. Just a cousin. Just a cousin. Her own sister. The photographer gathered us for a family portrait. My mother positioned everyone carefully. Herself next to my grandmother. Miranda on the other side. My aunt beside them. Sloane, honey, can you maybe stand behind? I took my place in the back, partially hidden by my cousin's boyfriend. One of my great aunts, someone who was not in the chat, leaned over. Are you not Diane's older daughter? The nurse. Yes. Why are you not in the front? You should be with your mother. Before I could answer, my grandmother's voice cut through the chatter. Quiet but clear. Sloane, sweetheart, come sit with me for a moment. My mother's smile flickered. Miranda's joy tightened. I walked to my grandmother's chair. She took my hand and squeezed it. Stay until the end tonight, she whispered. Grandma has something to say. Her eyes held mine. Sharp. Knowing. My heart began to pound. The humiliation peaked 2 hours into the party. Miranda clinked her glass. Stepped up to the portable microphone. 50 guests turned to watch. The photographer positioned himself for the perfect shot. Hi, everyone. I just want to say a few words about my amazing grandmother. What followed was a 5-minute performance. Miranda dabbed her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. Talked about childhood memories. About how my grandmother taught her to bake. About being there through everything. I am so grateful, Miranda concluded, her voice trembling beautifully, to be the granddaughter who has been by your side all these years. I love you, Grandma. Applause. My aunt wiped actual tears. My mother beamed. I stood in the back, invisible, and did the math. Miranda had visited my grandmother maybe 15 times in the past 5 years. I had been there every single week. Every doctor's appointment. Every lonely evening. Every 3 a.m. phone call when my grandmother could not sleep. But Miranda had 50,000 Instagram followers. She knew how to perform. A distant cousin, one I barely knew, turned to me. Are you not going to say something? Before I could respond, Miranda appeared at my elbow. Oh, Sloane is so busy with her nursing job. She does not really have time for speeches. She laughed lightly. You know how it is. A few people chuckled. My mother nodded along. I felt the weight of 60 pairs of eyes. Some curious, some dismissive, most already looking away. A week ago, I would have smiled and disappeared. But I had 847 reasons to stay. That is okay, I said evenly. Grandma knows who has actually been there. Miranda's smile froze. Across the lawn, my grandmother caught my eye. She nodded once, almost imperceptibly. Not yet, that nod said. But soon. The party was winding down. Guests gathered their things, said their goodbyes. Then my grandmother stood. She moved slowly. 70 years will do that. But her voice carried across the entire yard when she tapped her glass. Everyone, please stay a moment longer. 60 people went still. My grandmother rarely spoke publicly. When she did, people listened. It is my 70th birthday. She smiled. An old woman is allowed to make a speech. Polite laughter. My mother relaxed slightly. I want to talk about family, my grandmother continued. About what it really means. Miranda straightened her dress, preparing for another round of praise. Specifically, I want to talk about the person who has actually been there for me these past 10 years. The air changed. I felt it before I understood it. Someone who drove me to every doctor's appointment when my heart started failing. Someone who cleaned my house every Sunday. Someone who sat with me through the long nights when I was scared and could not sleep. My mother's face had gone gray. Someone, my grandmother said, who never posted about it on social media. Never asked for credit. Never even complained. She turned and looked directly at me. Sloane, come here, sweetheart. The crowd parted. I walked forward on numb legs. My grandmother took both my hands in hers. This is my granddaughter. My real family. Miranda stepped forward. Grandma, that is so sweet, but we are all family. I am not finished. Miranda stopped. My grandmother reached into her cardigan pocket and pulled out a small leather notebook. Brown, worn, filled with handwriting. I recognized it. I had seen it on her nightstand 100 times. I have been keeping records, my grandmother said, for 10 years. Everything. And tonight, I am going to share some of it. She opened the notebook. Her hands were steady. March 15th, 2019. Sloane drove me to my cardiology appointment. Miranda said she was busy. She flipped a page. August 22nd, 2020. Sloane cleaned my house, did my laundry, made me soup. Diane promised to visit but canceled. The silence was absolute. January 5th, 2022. I fell on the stairs. Sloane arrived in 20 minutes. Stayed all night. My grandmother looked up. Miranda posted a spa day on social media that afternoon. Miranda's face was white. Grandma, I did not know. September 17th, 2024. My grandmother's voice hardened. Sloane's divorce was finalized. I called her every day for a month. Her own mother did not call once. My mother stood frozen, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. 10 years of entries, my grandmother said. I wrote down everything. Every visit. Every absence. Every excuse. She closed the notebook. I know who showed up. And I know who did not. The crowd shifted. People were looking at Miranda differently now. At my mother. At my aunt. Grandma. Miranda's voice cracked. You do not understand. Sloane is not. Sit down, Miranda. It was not a request. Miranda sat. My mother finally found her voice. Mom, please. There has been a misunderstanding. We love Sloane. We express it differently. Do you? My grandmother's eyes were steel. Is that what you call it? The silence stretched. Someone coughed nervously. I stood beside my grandmother, her hands still gripping mine, and watched my family's carefully constructed facade crumble in real time. But my grandmother was not finished. Not even close. There is something else, she said. Something I learned 6 months ago. She turned to look at my uncle, my aunt's husband. Robert, would you please explain? In the crowd, my uncle slowly rose to his feet. Right now, if you are wondering, wait, what is about to happen? I was wondering the exact same thing. Before I tell you what Robert said, I have to ask, do you think my grandmother already knew about the group chat? Comment she knew or no way below. And if you are invested in this story, hit subscribe so you do not miss the ending. Okay, back to the party. Robert stood slowly, adjusting his tie. My aunt grabbed his arm. Robert, what are you doing? He looked at her. Something unreadable in his eyes. The right thing. Finally, he turned to face the crowd. 6 months ago, I accidentally saw a group chat on my wife's phone. It was called Real Family Only. I read through it. My aunt's grip tightened. Robert, do not. I read 7 years of messages, Robert continued, his voice steady as a courtroom deposition. Mocking Sloane. Calling her names. Betting on her failures. Celebrating her divorce. Gasps rippled through the crowd. People turned to stare at my aunt, at my mother, at Miranda. I told Eleanor everything. Showed her screenshots. My grandmother nodded. I have known for 6 months. I have read every message. The ground seemed to tilt beneath my family's feet. Miranda stood abruptly. That is private. You had no right. 847 messages, my grandmother said quietly. I read them all. Charity case. The bets. The celebration when Sloane's marriage ended. Her voice cracked. My own daughter wrote that she was relieved Sloane did not have children. My mother started crying. Mom, I did not mean. One less grandchild to worry about. Those were your exact words, Diane. The crowd was deathly silent. Some guests looked horrified. Others looked embarrassed, like they had witnessed something they should not have. Good, I thought. Now they know. I waited, my grandmother said. I waited for the right moment. I wanted everyone here. Everyone who matters. She looked around the yard. Because I want you all to know who my family really is. Her hand squeezed mine. And I want you to see what happens to people who betray it. My grandmother reached into her other pocket and pulled out a folded document. 3 months ago, I had Robert update my will. My aunt whipped around to face her husband. You did what? I am her attorney, Robert said flatly. And her family. Miranda lunged forward. Grandma, you cannot just. I am 70 years old, Miranda. Sound mind. Clear heart. This is my decision. She unfolded the paper and read clearly, loudly, so everyone could hear. My house, this house, will go to my granddaughter, Sloane Reynolds. She has cared for it, cleaned it, and filled it with love for 10 years. She has earned it. The crowd murmured. Miranda looked like she had been slapped. The remaining assets will be divided equally among my children and grandchildren, as is fair. My grandmother looked up and met my mother's eyes. This is not punishment, Diane. It is balance. Sloane gave 10 years of her life to this family without asking for anything. The least I can do is make sure she is not left with nothing. This is insane, my aunt hissed. Sloane is not even, she is not really. Not really what? My grandmother's voice went cold. Not really family? Is that what you were going to say? In front of everyone. My aunt's mouth snapped shut. Sloane is my granddaughter. My blood. And more importantly, she showed up. Every single time. My grandmother turned to the crowd. That is what family means. Not group chats. Not social media posts. Not betting pools on someone's failures. She carefully refolded the document. I have made my decision. It is legal. It is done. Miranda started crying. Real tears this time, I think. My mother stared at nothing. My aunt looked at her husband like she had never seen him before. And me? I just held my grandmother's hand. My grandmother turned to me. Do you want to say anything, sweetheart? 60 faces watched. Some sympathetic. Some shocked. Some, my mother, Miranda, my aunt, devastated. I stepped forward and let go of my grandmother's hand. I am not going to yell, I said quietly. I am not going to call anyone names. That is not who I am. Miranda wiped her eyes. Sloane, please, we can fix this. I have 847 screenshots, Miranda. There is nothing to fix. She flinched. For 7 years, you had a chat called Real Family Only. You excluded me. You mocked me. You bet on my failures. I looked at my mother. You celebrated the worst day of my life. My mother opened her mouth. Closed it. No defense left. So here is what I want to say. I am done. The word hung in the air. Final. I am not angry. I am not bitter. I am just done. I looked at each of them in turn. You decided 7 years ago that I was not part of your real family. I am going to respect that decision now. Sloane, you cannot just cut us off, my aunt started. I am not cutting you off. I am accepting the boundary you already set. I kept my voice level. You excluded me. I am simply agreeing with your choice. Silence. I turned to the crowd. To the cousins who were not in the chat. To my grandmother's friends. To the neighbors who had watched me come and go for a decade. That is all I have to say. I walked back to my grandmother's side. She took my hand again. I am proud of you, she whispered. And for the first time in a very long time, I was proud of me, too. The party ended in silence. Guests gathered their things quickly, avoiding eye contact with my mother and Miranda. I watched small clusters form. People whispering, glancing over, shaking their heads. My great-aunt Martha, my grandmother's neighbor for 30 years, approached me near the garden gate. I always wondered why you were not in the family photos, she said softly. Now I understand. You knew. I knew something was wrong. You came every week. Cleaned. Helped. Never complained. She squeezed my arm. Your grandmother talked about you all the time. Never mentioned the others much. Another guest, someone I did not recognize, stopped on his way out. I have known Eleanor for 40 years. If she says you are her real family, that is good enough for me. Small kindnesses. They added up. Miranda tried to approach me one last time. Mascara streaked down her cheeks. Her designer dress wrinkled. Sloane, we need to talk. Please. Not tonight. But I said not tonight. She stood there, helpless. For once, her social media smile could not save her. You cannot just. I can. I kept my voice calm. And I am. I walked away. Left her standing there. My mother sat alone on a white chair, staring at nothing. Guests passed her without speaking. The social queen of every family gathering, suddenly invisible. My aunt was screaming at Robert by the catering table. Words like betrayed and ruined everything carried across the lawn. I did not feel triumphant. Did not feel victorious. I felt something simpler. Free. My grandmother appeared beside me and took my elbow. Help an old woman to her chair. I walked her inside, away from the wreckage of her birthday party. Are you okay, Grandma? She smiled. Best birthday I have ever had. The fallout came in waves. First wave, social media. Someone from the party, I never found out who, posted about it. Not the details. Just enough. Witness the most dramatic family revelation today. Group chat exposed. Bets on divorce. The quiet sister finally got justice. It spread. Miranda lost 5,000 followers in a week. Comments flooded her latest post, a photo of smoothie bowls, with questions she could not answer. Is this the girl who bet on her sister's divorce? Wait, is this real? Unfollowed. Cannot support people who treat family like that. She turned off comments, then made her account private, then disappeared from social media entirely. Second wave, community. My mother's social circle, the book club, the garden committee, the women she brunched with every Sunday, started pulling away. Busy became the default response to her invitations. Word travels fast in small towns. Robert told me over coffee a week later. He had moved into a hotel. My aunt was blaming everyone but herself. Are you two done? Probably. He stirred his cup slowly. I should have said something years ago. I convinced myself it was not my business. Why no? Because I saw those messages about you. About your divorce. He looked up. I have a daughter. Imagining someone treating her that way. He did not finish. Did not need to. That evening, I got a text from my cousin, the one who had laughed at my marriage failing. Hi, Sloane. I do not expect you to forgive me, but I wanted to say I am sorry. I was wrong. I got caught up in what everyone else was doing, and I did not think about how it would feel to be you. I am sorry. It was not much, but it was something. I know some of you watching right now have been through something similar. Maybe not the exact same situation, but that feeling, being the outsider in your own family, being talked about behind your back, wondering if you are crazy for sensing something wrong. You are not crazy, and you are not alone. If this story resonated with you, drop a comment. Share your story if you feel comfortable. Now, let me finish telling you mine. 3 days after the party, I drove to my grandmother's house. She was sitting in her garden, her notebook open on her lap, pen in her hand. Still writing, still keeping track. Grandma. She looked up and smiled. There is my girl. I sat beside her on the weathered bench. The same bench where we had sat 100 times before. Watching the birds. Talking about nothing and everything. Are you upset with me? She asked. Upset? Why would I be upset? Because I knew for 6 months. I could have told you sooner. Saved you from going through that chat alone at 3 in the morning. I thought about it. Really thought. Why did not you? She set down her pen. I wanted to wait for the right moment. If I had told you privately, they would have denied everything. Called you a liar. Said I was going senile. She shook her head. But in front of 60 people, with Robert to back it up, there was nowhere to hide. You planned this. I am 70, sweetheart. I have learned a few things. She took my hand. Never act when you are angry. Wait until you are calm. Then you will know what you really want. What did you really want? Justice for my granddaughter. And the truth in the light where everyone could see it. She squeezed my fingers. They had been hiding in the shadows for 7 years. Time to turn on the lights. We sat in comfortable silence. Birds sang. The afternoon sun warmed our faces. I love you, Grandma. I love you too, Sloane. More than you know. She picked up her pen again and opened her notebook. Now, let me write today down. Sloane visited. Good conversation. She is going to be okay. She was right. I was. 2 weeks later, my mother knocked on my door. She looked smaller somehow. Older. No makeup. Hair unbrushed. She clutched a photo album to her chest like a shield. Can I come in? I stepped aside. Did not say yes. Did not say no. She sat on my couch, the same spot Miranda had occupied weeks ago. She opened the album. Baby pictures. My first steps. My kindergarten graduation. I do not know where I went wrong, she whispered. You were my first baby. I loved you so much. Then what happened? She stared at the photos. I was ashamed. Of my first marriage. Of failing. When I married Miranda's father, I wanted to start fresh. And you, she finally looked up. You were a reminder of everything I wanted to forget. It was not an excuse. But it was honest. That is not my fault, Mom. I know. Tears streamed down her face. I know that now. I have always known. I could not face it. We sat in silence. A lifetime of hurt between us. What do you want? I asked finally. To fix this. To be your mother again. That is going to take time. I know. I will do whatever. 3 months. No contact. After that, we can try. Slowly. She blinked. 3 months? But Christmas. You had 7 Christmases in a chat that called me charity case. I kept my voice steady. 3 months is not long. She flinched. But she did not argue. At the door, she paused. I am sorry, Sloane. I know words do not mean much right now. But I am. Then prove it. In 3 months. She left. I closed the door. It was not forgiveness. But it was a door left open. Maybe that was enough for now. Miranda tried everything. Phone calls. Emails. Showing up unannounced. Sending gifts. A $200 flower arrangement arrived one morning with a card. I miss my sister. Please. I donated the flowers to the hospital. 3 weeks after the party, a letter appeared in my mailbox. Handwritten. 6 pages. I read it all. Every word. She wrote about growing up jealous of my relationship with my grandmother. About feeling like second best despite having the better clothes, the better grades, the better social media following. About starting the chat because she wanted somewhere to belong. Somewhere she was the favorite. I know I cannot undo 7 years, she wrote. But I want you to know I understand now. I was cruel because I was scared. That does not make it okay. Nothing makes it okay. I sat with that letter for a long time. Then I wrote back. 1 page. Clear and final. Miranda, I received your letter. I understand you have reasons for what you did. Reasons are not excuses. I do not hate you. I am not angry anymore. But I also do not want a relationship with you. You spent 7 years treating me like an outsider. I am not going to spend the rest of my life trying to prove I belong. I wish you well. I genuinely hope you find peace with yourself. But I cannot be part of that journey. Please do not contact me again. Sloane. I mailed it the next morning. She did not respond. Did not show up. Did not try again. Maybe she finally understood. Or maybe she just gave up. Either way, the result was the same. One less person in my life who never really wanted me there. It should have felt like a loss. Instead, it felt like breathing. 3 months later. I am writing this from my grandmother's living room. My living room now, sort of. She insisted I stay in the guest room until she decides to kick the bucket. Her words, not mine. She is in the garden. Her notebook open. Pen scratching away. Still keeping track. My mother and I have talked twice. Brief conversations. Careful. She is trying, actually trying. Whether it is enough, I do not know yet. But the door is open. Miranda is a stranger now. I see her posts sometimes. Her account is public again, rebuilt around healing and growth. Maybe she means it. Maybe it is just another performance. Either way, it is not my concern anymore. My aunt and uncle finalized their divorce last month. He sends me Christmas cards now. We are not close, but we are something. Allies, maybe. My cousin, the one who laughed at my divorce, has apologized 3 more times. We grabbed coffee last week. It was awkward, but not terrible. And me? I still work 60 hours in the intensive care unit. Still live alone. Still eat dinner standing over the sink more often than I should. But something is different. I do not feel like I am waiting for permission anymore. Permission to belong. To be seen. To matter. My grandmother said something to me yesterday while we watched the sunset from her porch. You know what the best part of getting old is? What? You stop caring what people think. You just live. I am trying to do that now. Live. Not perform. Not prove. Just exist exactly as I am. I did not lose my family. I lost the illusion of one. And for the first time in 32 years, I think I am finally free. That is my story. 847 messages. 7 years of secrets. And one grandmother who changed everything. If you are in a toxic relationship, family, friend, partner, remember this. You do not have to set yourself on fire to keep them warm. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors you get to control. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe if you want more stories like this. And check the description for more. Thank you for being here.